The Republican Party is melting down over the imminent replacement of Joe Biden at the top of the Democratic ticket with Kamala Harris. And now they're threatening to sue to keep her off the ballot. Can they do that? Will it work? Spoiler alert, no. Let's discuss. I'm Dave Aronberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County, aka the Florida Lawman, here on the MeidasTouch Network. As you can see, I'm on the road, but the show must go on. There's such big news out there, and people are wondering whether the Republican Party has a shot at bouncing Kamala Harris off the top of the ticket. I mean, it really does show the amount of desperation out there. Number one, that they are threatening lawsuits, that all of a sudden you have people out there who are claiming that they care about democracy and the disenfranchisement over the Democratic primary electorate. Yeah, it's so cynical on their part to all of a sudden claim that they want to make sure that every Democratic primary vote is counted. Even though people are voting for the ticket, Biden-Harris, and now you see the polls and you see the enthusiasm and you see the money and you see it all coming together, and that shows how democracy is working, not the other way around. And if you want to talk about threats to democracy, yeah, look at your own house. So when it comes to Kamala Harris, they're even threatening to take it a step further with lawsuits. So the Speaker of the House, who supported Donald Trump's attempt to overturn the 2020 election, is now very concerned about democracy. And he said that, yeah, it's not possible for states to switch out Biden for another candidate. Oh, really? Yeah, first off, that has a complete misunderstanding of the fact that the Democratic Party is a private organization, and private organizations can choose its own rules and its own process for nominating someone. And even if the Democratic Party couldn't switch at this point, which it can, the fact is that you become the nominee at the convention, and at the convention is when the delegates vote, and delegates haven't voted yet. And by Joe Biden stepping aside, he releases his delegates, and then they can vote however they want at the convention, and they're all lining up behind Kamala Harris. That's called democracy. That's the fact that Mike Johnson and others are so worried about this process because they want to force Democrats to have their chosen candidate on the ticket. And what I mean by their chosen candidate, I mean the chosen candidate by the Republicans is so undemocratic. And it's blowing up in their face because they're looking bad. Because no one believes they sincerely all of a sudden want to protect Democratic primary voters. I mean, you have so much support and energy for Kamala Harris that this whole line of attack shows you how unprepared they were for this development, which is really surprising because with all the talk that this was possible for a while, they do seem to be caught flat-footed here. And I think that is something that perhaps the convention made them a little too overconfident, a little too complacent. Maybe Donald Trump peaked too soon. They thought he was inevitable, and they just assumed the Democratic Party was just eminently beatable. Well, now there's a surge of fundraising, there's a surge of support and energy, and they were not prepared for it. So they're doing what they have been doing recently, which is let's go to the courts. Let's see if we can find a favorable judge, someone who they believe is on their side, like a Judge Cannon or Justice Thomas or Justice Alito. But in this case, it's not going to work. The Republicans point to the Heritage Foundation. Yes, that's the same group behind Project 2025. The group that they claim they don't know anything about and their project and they have nothing to do with. Well, they're pointing to that same Heritage Foundation, which noted in a June memo, this is according to Forbes, that some states' laws make it difficult to change a candidate, pointing to laws in states like South Carolina or Wisconsin that don't allow candidates to be removed for political reasons or for reasons other than death, arguing that if Biden were to drop out, there is the potential for pre-election litigation in some states that would make the process difficult and perhaps unsuccessful. Election law experts have broadly pushed back on the threats of litigation, however, arguing that since the Democratic Party's candidate isn't officially set until they've been formally nominated at the convention, laws about changing the nominee wouldn't apply if Biden drops out before the convention, and he now has. UCLA law professor Rick Hassan wrote in early July he doesn't put any credence into the Heritage Foundation's memo, adding, Joe Biden is not the party's nominee now, and states generally point to the major party's nominee as the one whose name is on the ballot. University of Kentucky voting rights professor Josh Douglas wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter, I hate calling it X, that any lawsuit challenging Biden dropping out will have no legal basis whatsoever and would be a purely political act to create controversy where there is none. Yes, and courts can sanction those parties who put forward frivolous litigation. So the Republicans are just asking for a bruising. Not only could they be sanctioned and be fined for their ridiculous litigation, but also they look bad in a court of public opinion. When you try to sue to get the Democratic nominee for president off the ballot, that looks bad. When you now are questioning whether you want to participate in a debate against Kamala Harris, as Donald Trump is now doing, that looks bad. It looks like fear. I mean, look at Stephen Miller's meltdown on Fox News. That's a guy who's terrified of Kamala Harris. That's a guy who's terrified of the energy that she has brought to the race. And again, surprisingly, they just didn't seem prepared for this. I mean, what did they think was going to happen? I mean, they just assumed that they're going to get their way. I mean, they are in a real dogfight now. And Midas Mighty, it's up to all of us to unite and come together and focus that energy on democracy here on this pro-democracy channel. And one more thing. Since we're here talking about litigation, Donald Trump has also threatened litigation based on fraud. On social media, Donald Trump said, "So we are forced to spend time and money on fighting crooked Joe Biden. He polls badly after having a terrible debate and quits the race. Now we have to start all over again. Shouldn't the Republican Party be reimbursed for fraud? Just asking." The answer is no. There's no fraud claim when the Democratic Party puts forth a different candidate at the top of their ticket. No, it's not how any of this works. Just because you spent all your time and money bashing Joe Biden and eventually the dog caught the car and now you don't know what to do with it. No, you don't get money from the Democratic Party or from U.S. taxpayers for your mistakes, for the fact that you loaded up on ads and all this negative campaigning for so long, and now you want your money back for it? No. And all those hearings you had on Hunter Biden, now they're completely wasted, because something tells me you probably don't want to care about Hunter Biden from this point forward, right? Something tells me that Hunter Biden is not such an existential threat to the world anymore as of today. So this is where it is in the state of the race for president. You have one side scrambling, you have one side freaking out, one side threatening to sue, and the other side is united and motivated and energized. So what a difference just a short time makes. The script has been flipped, and now who's claiming who is too old to be president? So that's the latest. I'm Dave Aronberg, aka the Florida Lawman, here on the MeidasTouch Network. If you like this video, please like, share with a friend, and leave a comment below. I love reading your comments. And check out our sister site, True Crime MTN, where we talk about true crime cases that don't make it onto the main MeidasTouch channel. So I'll see you over there, and I'll see you next time.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.